everybody. My name is Carrie. Thank you so much for joining me on my little corner of the YouTube world. Today is July 13th, 2022. I am coming to you from just outside of Portland, Oregon, and I know it's been a little bit since I last recorded, but summer started and things happened, and here I am right now. So I do appreciate that you are here, and I appreciate if you are checking me out for the first time. This is my little channel where I talk about all the crafty things that I like to do, mostly knitting and quilting. So today it's going to be knitting and quilting. I haven't done any other type of craft in the last, I guess it's been about 6 weeks since I last recorded, and I hope I have enough to share with you. So since the last time I spoke with you, we got through the end of the school year, so I am now on summer vacation, and I had my birthday. It was my 60th birthday, and I had a lot of different celebrations, which was fabulous and fun, and I don't normally do a whole lot for my birthday. But between getting together with my coworkers, and we did an end of the year and summer birthdays kind of a celebration, which was fun. Went out with some friends and went into Portland and hit a bunch of different bars and restaurants and kind of bar hopped a little bit, and got together with my family. It was just like this week-long continuation of celebration, which was a lot of fun. And I figure, for your 60th, why not? Go out, go big. I don't normally do anything, so I let myself do that, which was a lot of fun. And then shortly after school got out, we went on a camping trip. We went to Lake Wenatchee in Washington. It is in the center, central Washington area, an area we've never been to before. So it was kind of fun to just see what's all over there. We do camp a lot, and so we've been to a lot of places, and it's hard to find places that we haven't been to before that are relatively close, that we're not traveling across the country. So it was really fun. It was about a 6-hour drive, 5.5, 6-hour drive to get there. And you go through the town of Leavenworth. If you're familiar with the Washington area, Leavenworth is a little town nestled in these very steep mountains that give the illusion that it's like a Bavarian town, like a little town in the Alps. And it was just stunning. It's a big area that people go to, especially at Christmas time, because they really decorate the streets with lights and twinklies, and there's snow and all that kind of stuff. We were very underwhelmed with the town. It's just a touristy town. It's just a lot of souvenir shops and places to eat. But while we were at the lake, which was about 20 minutes away, we went into the town and just got a chance to see it. I was really glad I didn't make the trip specifically to just go do that. I would have been very disappointed if I had driven all that way for that. But being that we were already over there, it was fine. Cute little town, but like I said, it's just like t-shirts and shot glasses and crap like that. So we did that, and then we decided to take a different way home to go over Snoqualmie Pass, which is a mountain pass that goes over the mountains, and dumps you. We were going to take it so that we would kind of get dumped more like Tacoma area to skip Seattle, because traffic in Seattle is really bad. It took us almost 8 hours to get home because traffic is really bad. Traffic around the Seattle-Tacoma area is horrible, and then you hit any areas that they're doing any kind of construction. It was just super slow. It took us forever to get home. It really sucked. But the vacation was nice. It was very relaxing. It was a beautiful area. The lake was pretty. I mean, like I said, you're in these steep mountains, and it was pleasant. We had such gray, rainy weather here and hadn't really seen the sun much. It had like spring never really came. So going over east, we got sunnier weather. It's a little drier over there, and it was nice. It was like mid 70s and sunny, blue sky, and we just had a very relaxing time. I don't think we'll go back there. I don't know that it was worth the drive, but I'm glad we got a chance to go see it. And we both like had a great time, but not like, oh my gosh, we have to come back here. So that being said, that was our vacation. And then we got home on a Friday, and then that weekend was the wedding. My friend's daughter, she's kind of like a niece to me, got married, and it became 100 degrees that weekend. It was really hot. So we got home Friday. Saturday was their rehearsal dinner, which they were just going to have at their house in the backyard. And so Jim and I volunteered to go and be like their caterers. So we did the food, like she bought all the food and everything, but Jim grilled the hamburgers and I got all the stuff set up. And then when it was done, I cleaned up so that they could just enjoy the wedding stuff, and then cleaned up and we left. And then the next day, 9 o'clock in the morning, we left to go help set up the wedding. And it was really, really hot. There wasn't anything you could do about it. The facility was not air conditioned, as a lot of places aren't in this area. And I felt really bad for the wedding party. I mean, here the guys are in their suits and the girls, the poor bride's in this wedding gown, and it is just hotter than hot. And we all anybody that was helping brought fans from home, and we were in this big converted barn thing. So, you're in this big thing, and your fan, which looks really big in your house, looks like it's this big in this big facility. And we did the best we could. It was a lovely wedding. She was gorgeous. It was really sweet. It was a very sweet wedding to see, but it was just really hot, really sweaty. So we were there till about 11 o'clock at night and drove home. It was about an hour away, and we were pretty exhausted. So the next day we just sort of took the day off because we were just really tired. So then, it's just been a matter of sitting down and having the time to do this, because this also includes me having to edit. So I have to have time for it. So, and I don't know that I have a whole lot to share. I always say that. I was really struggling. There's a lot of yucky things that are happening in our country right now that leaving me feeling very upset and just unsettled. And so I was just having a hard time feeling creative. And I thought, one thing that makes you feel better is to cast on something new. Even though I don't really need to cast on something new, let me just do that. And I couldn't really settle on anything. I tried a couple of crochet patterns because I really think I want to try and make something out of crochet, and I just get super frustrated with it. So I put that away, and I'm like, let me try this. I'm like, no, that's not working. I don't understand the pattern. And it was just like all this stuff where I just didn't feel, I just was very unsettled all the way around. I'm feeling better. Time heals, and hopefully things straighten out, because the United States is pretty screwed up right now and it doesn't feel very good. So that being said, this is a crafty podcast channel, vlog, whatever we're calling it. And so we'll talk about that. So as you can see, since the last time I recorded, I've got going on the dog quilt. So I talked about this on my last episode. I am making 3 little quilts for my 3 sisters-in-law, and I am using flannel shirts that were their dads and their moms, and I decided to do this pattern, which is little dogs, because everybody's huge dog lovers, and it was just super cute to make dogs out of plaid fabric. And so this is the pattern I got. This is from So Fresh Quilts, called Doggone Cute. She's on Etsy. I got it on Etsy, bought the pattern and downloaded it, PDF. So this is the way the quilt is supposed to be. This is the way the pattern is written for the layout. I didn't want just a grid of dogs. Now, I explained all this before. I'll just go over it really quickly. Got on EQ2, which is Electric Quilt. It's a computer program for designing quilts, and made a more random layout. Came up with this. So each quilt will have 3 large dogs, and then they'll have small dogs, and then I'm going to do these paw prints that will go up there. So I've got all the dogs done. All the big ones and little ones are all done. So all I have left to make is the paw prints. And the paw prints I got off of EQ. They didn't come included with the pattern, and I got it out of EQ. There's different block patterns that are already in the program. And I thought, okay, I want to do that. So paper piecing is the way that's the technique it uses. And this is my pattern for my paper piecing. So you literally sew on the paper. And I will cut out the different sections and make that. Then you sew them all together. The problem I had is I made the first one, and this is a purple that I had gotten to use in the quilt. And once I made this, I realized there's not enough contrast, that you're not really going to see it. And this was, to test out the pattern, and it ends up being too small. So somehow, and I've got my printer set up to print actual size, to not scale things, so that everything is printed the size it's supposed to be. It's off almost 1/4 of an inch, which is a lot. So then I thought, well, shoot, am I not going to be able to do the paw prints? I really like the look of the paw prints in the quilt. I think it just is cute. And so my plan is each sister will have a different color of paw prints. So I've got purple, green, and like a royal blue. And I really, really wanted to have those in there. I just thought it added something different and made it a little more personal, because I like to try and make it personal. So after getting upset, thinking I had to redesign the quilt, I thought I was going to have to just toss it. And of course I printed all the papers for all of I have to make 15 total. So what I decided to do is, on this piece, I'm making it wider. This little piece here, I'm making that wider. This piece making it wider, so that it makes and taller, so it can make the whole block a little bit bigger. The toes and the pad of the foot will be the same. I'm just making the background stuff bigger, so then I can just trim it down a little bit and still have the integrity of the paw print, but just making it a little bit bigger. And the way I did that is, like, that outside line, that was something I drew. I went through and drew on all the papers of the pieces that I needed to extend. I made another line, and so I can extend. That's just background fabric. And so then I tried it again with a lighter color purple, and it worked. So this is the color that will end up going in the quilt. This was fabric left over from the quilt that I made prior, the deco quilt. This was in it. And so this works fine. I just wanted it to be purple, and this has plenty of contrast. Making those pieces a little bit longer made my block a little bit bigger, so then I could trim it up, and it worked out perfectly. So now I have one done, and I have to make 14 more. It's tedious, it's time consuming, it's slow, just because you are like making this with these itty bitty corners and stuff like that, and then you've got to put that all together. I like to print this on it's the stuff I have now, which I don't know that it really matters, but it's Carol Doak foundation paper piecing paper, which is basically like newsprint. So the fibers in it are a little bit looser. It tears out easier because you actually sew on the paper, and then when it's all put together, you pull the paper off. Your sewing lines make a perforation, so it should come apart pretty easily. Before I press it, I rip the paper out that's going to be in the seam allowance, and then that helps everything lay flatter. Once the block's done, I can tear the papers out. So that's what my next step is. Once that's done, then I have another printout that I did that doesn't have the background fabric, but it shows all the little spacer pieces, so I know how big to cut those and where to put them, because I'm not following the pattern. I'm only following the pattern to make the dog heads. So it's, I thought, well, let me, the last time I talked, I told you, I was just like, let me make a block and see how this pattern is written. And I really like it, partly because it's not real wordy. It's not a good first quilt. It's good if you have some quilting experience, because there's not a lot of directions. It's mostly pictures, which that's pretty much how I read a quilt pattern anyway. It's like, just show me the pictures. I know what to do. I just need to know what goes with what, and that kind of thing. So I just picked, there's 12 different dogs. They're all a little bit different. Like this one, it's just got the little ears. I liked this with the little like color around the eyes, but I didn't like the fact that it was a rectangle instead of it looking rounded. So I didn't choose any of those dogs. But I did choose different ones. They're all a little bit different. It might just be the ears or whatever, but they're all a little bit different. So these will be 3 identical quilts, except the paw prints will be different colors. The layout will all be the same, but I might put, instead of the red one here on one, and the red one might be down here on the other or something. I might mix them up a little bit, but for the most part, they'll be identical quilts. So I'm definitely going to make it for Christmas. I had talked about wanting to finish them and give them to them as Christmas gifts. They know I'm making quilts. I'm not sure if they know that I'm making one for each of them, but they gave me the shirts knowing that I would make them into a quilt. And that's all they know, unless they watch this, which I don't think they do. So then what I'm going to do once they're all done, because they'll all be the same size, is I'll just quilt them with a pantograph on my long arm machine, and I am going to make the backing fabric so that it is however wide I need it to be, and then as long as all 3 quilts are together. So I'll put the backing on, I'll put the quilt it, gets to the end, put the next quilt it, put the next quilt, and it's all going to be on one big piece of backing fabric. Then I can cut them apart. That saves me the setup time of each quilt, like each loading and unloading. It's just all going to be there. So I found what I think is the perfect fabric for it. So this is the backing fabric, and like I said, I've got a blue, a green, and a purple as the paw prints, and this has all 3 colors in it on a navy blue background. So this will be the backing fabric. I got this from thousandsofbolts.com, which sells usually like older fabric. I think it's like stuff that maybe quilt shops aren't using anymore, and they kind of liquidation type of thing. They're very good prices. And so I like to look there for something like this that I'm going to use as a backing. This is great quilt quality fabric. It's Studio 37 Fabrics, but it's a Nancy Rink design, so it's good quality. I will, now that I have shown you and all this stuff, I'm going to pre-wash this, because I pre-washed all the cotton fabric that I purchased to make the quilt, because the shirts have been laundered a million times. I didn't want uneven shrinkage, so if there was going to be shrinkage, I wanted that to happen. So I'll do the same thing with this, because a good rule of thumb is if you wash one, you should wash them all. So this will go in the laundry. And then hopefully, I don't know if the next time I record, I'll have them done. They may not be quilted. Hopefully they'll just be done, because at the end of the month, I'm going on a little quilt retreat with my friends, my little quilty friends, and I think that's what I'm going to work on, is the paper piecing of those projects, but that's still a little ways away. I do have another camping trip coming up in between there, so I don't know. Because if I finish it, and then I don't know what I'm going to work on over the weekend. I might just knit. I don't know. But anyway, what I was also thinking last night, because like yesterday I sewed for a little bit, and then it just gets too hot up here. It ended up being about 80 up here, and I just can't be ironing and sitting under lights and whatever. I thought what I might do is, and I've done this before during the summer, is set myself up downstairs with like just a little sewing area. I don't need all this stuff, and with paper piecing, I don't need I don't need my full ironing board. I can just use my little wool mat and that kind of thing. So then that way I can sew during the summer when it gets hot, because it gets hot up here. It's already 71 in here, which is not bad. I have had the windows open. I just closed them up because it's warm enough outside. Anyway, that's the plan. So I will either save it for my little weekend retreat, or I might start it, and I'm not sure. We'll see what happens, because yeah, I've got that vacation, little camping trip kind of in the middle there. So anyway, all right, that's it for sewing and quilting and that kind of thing. So my next things are knitting related. Like I said, I tried crocheting. I have tried so many times, and I've done that. You've seen me with that mosaic crochet backpack, which I got. I'm about 80% at the point where I'm thinking I'm just gonna stop where I am, turn it into a bag, not finish it, not make it a backpack, because I just don't know that I would use it. I don't know. So I'm thinking I'll just make it like a knitting project bag. But then it bugs me because I used this gradient yarn that I really wanted to try and use, and I just don't feel like I want to finish it. It's really, really hard for me. So anyway, but I have finished something. So we're going to go camping. I have said this before. When I go camping, I like to cast on a new project to take with me. And I was really trying hard not to do that. And I'm like, no, you have these projects that you've already got going. It'd be a great opportunity to just work on those. And like the last minute, I'm winding up yarn. I can't help myself. I tried. I'm weak. So what I did is the Star Shower pattern is that. It's been around for a long, long time. Hilary Smith Callis. I've had this pattern, was actually gifted to me several years ago by Zoe, who used to do podcast. She kind of does them every once in a while. And I tried it, and I got really frustrated because there's a stitch where you knit 3, then you take, or do you slip one? I can't remember. But you take the first one and wrap it over the 2, and that gives you the texture. And I was struggling so hard to try and do that stitch that I gave up on it. I'm like, this just isn't working. And people had suggested, oh, you could use a crochet hook. And I was like, no. So I wanted this cowl. So I thought, I'm going to try and do it. So I did. I just posted this on Instagram. So this yarn is by Needles at the Ready. I don't have the tag here. Needles at the Ready. I'll link the Etsy shop down below. This is Violet. You're turning violet or something like that. And it's just a beautiful pinky purple color. And I had success with this because I have since trying it the first time I now use pretty exclusively ChowGoo needles, which are sharper tipped, and I had wooden needles, which are blunt tipped before, and I just couldn't get the needle in there to do that stitch. Having the sharper tip made a huge difference. So it's a very unique construction. You knit it flat for a long ways and then join it in the round so that it ends up having a lower back. And I wish it was just a little bit bigger to actually fit over my shoulders, because that's what I was hoping to be able to wear it like. Let me see. My chair is starting to scooch down. But anyway, even if you don't, it's a beautiful cowl. And it's a wonderful color. Now this is fingering weight. It calls for 1 skein, which you don't even use a whole skein. I think I used 70 grams or something. I can't even really remember how much. May not have even used that much. I could go weigh it for you, but I'm not going to. It calls for 400 yards, but I didn't use that much because I have quite a bit left over. When it was done, I thought, oh man, this really turned out small. Like, I'm never going to wear this because it was just really like right up here. And I thought, well, if I have to rip it out, that's okay because I love this color. And so I blocked it, and I blocked it pretty aggressively. I really pinned it out and stretched it out, which obviously always helps when you do any kind of lace design. And now it fits really nice. So glad I didn't just rip it out when I did, because I think it's really pretty. So that's my only finished. That's it. My other thing that I started, for camping is I decided I wanted to make, it's something that I've been wanting to do, but I thought it was a good opportunity to knit some DK socks. So I've got one done. This is Snuggly Stars yarn, which is out of the UK. It's a DK base called Exotic Fairy Garden. It's a 75-25. 100 grams is approximately 212 meters. So that is the first sock. The second one, I'm about here. It's top down and I'm about here. So one skein of yarn, ample amount of yardage to do a DK sock. I am following the DK Weight Vanilla Socks pattern. This is by Kay Litton, who is the Crazy Sock Lady. So I'm following her pattern directions. I believe this was a free pattern on Ravelry. I don't think I had to pay for it, but I could be wrong. The only thing I would do differently is I would make them a little taller. They come just barely over my ankles, and I always feel like that's going to fall down. I won't wear these with shoes. This is going to be mostly for just wearing around the house in the wintertime or to bed, because I do in the wintertime start off with socks, end up kicking them off later, but my feet are cold and I can't fall asleep when my feet are cold. So anyway, that was fun. That was really nice car knitting. For when we were driving down for camping, because of the DK weight yarn, you're using a little bit bigger of a needle, so it was easy to see while you're, on the road and things are moving. So I will finish that next sock up. Another thing did I start? I don't know that I started, and it is a wrap. No, I don't think I did. I'm making the Fiore wrap. This is by Sonder Yarn Company, and I'll put a picture of the pattern there. It is a paid for pattern. It might be. I don't know. Go on Ravelry and find out, because I can't remember. I am using Holst Garn Coast, which is a 55% wool and 45% cotton in this color, which is Fairy. So very light pink. I'm holding it double. I was not sure, it didn't feel sturdy enough to do something with it single. I was going to knit a sweater with it, but it like pulls apart really easily by itself. So I thought, well, let me just do something with it together. And I found this wrap pattern. It is a very simple pattern. I almost didn't keep going with it because I just wasn't sure, and then my friends are like, no, keep going, and I'm glad I did. So it's basically just a rectangle. You've got this cable pattern, not a cable pattern, lace pattern going up one side with a ribbing on both sides. So when you block it, that should not curl. It's got ribbing on the bottom. I'll make this big long rectangle, repeat the ribbing on the other side. I like this because there's only this lace like right here in this like 20 whatever stitches right here. You knit across, you do the pattern, and then when you purl, you have to purl back. I don't think you have to do a pattern on the purl side. I can't remember. It's been about a week or so since I worked on it because I've gone on to other things. And I'm definitely in a pink phase. Not that that ever goes out of style with me. It's either pink or purple or blue for the most part. Or you get pinky purple. You get a combination of the two. But I did really want something out of this like very light pink, and I think this is going to be good. It's going to have good drape, especially after it gets blocked, and then it'll just be a nice wrap to have around me. So yeah, that's the Fiore wrap. So I've been wanting to make something out of like a cranberry color. I'm like, I don't have that color in my wardrobe. I was planning on making a vest, and I found this pattern that was written and available on Stylecraft Yarns, and it was using their repurposed yarn, which is like part recycled yarn kind of a thing. And I thought, okay, let me try that. Looked at the colors, found a color that looked kind of a cranberry color. It was called Cherry, and I'm like, okay, that's great. And I got it, and it's this, which I'm not sure how it's turning out on the camera, because when I look in my little screen, it looks okay, but it's a little drab for me. I mean, like, it is very different than this. So I started to knit with it, and I'm like, I just really don't love the color. This to me is not cranberry. And it's muted in a way that I don't care for it. So the yarn is their Recreate. It is a DK weight, 40% wool, 40% acrylic, 30% polyester, all recycled. You get 383 yards. I have 5 skeins of this because it was enough to make the vest and have extras so I could swatch with it. I'm going to give this away. I've got, like I said, I have 5 skeins of it, which comes to like 1,900 yards of DK weight yarn. I'm not going to make anything with it. So how am I going to do this? I know that Ravelry is not accessible to everybody, and I hardly ever get on Ravelry unless I'm looking for a pattern. So let's just do that here on YouTube. Make a comment below indicating that you want the yarn. Something about, you know, I don't know, whatever. Something that says you want the yarn, and then I'll do a comment picker, pick the name. I'm only going to send this in the domestic United States. So sorry to those of you that are outside of the States. It's just not worth it for me to send it for the shipping costs. So if you're in the United States and you want this yarn that's called Cherry, that's really kind of a plum color, 1,900 yards of DK weight yarn, leave a comment below saying that you want it. I'll pick a number. I'll pick a name, and we'll go from there. So I'm still in my head, I want this cranberry yarn. I want something that's like the cranberry. And so I was talking with Jim, like, how can I make cranberry? These are the colors of dyes that I have. And I have it in my head what I want it to look like. Well, for my birthday, Michelle gave me undyed yarn. And, oh, I got to get the base. All right, the base is 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, 10% cashmere. So it is super soft. It'll be very drapey, and I thought, what can I make with this? It's undyed yarn. She gave it to me that way because she knows that I like to dye stuff, and then I can make the color that I really want. So I was trying to think of what I could make. I really felt like it needs to be something that's going to be touching your skin because it's so incredibly soft. And so there is a pattern. Gosh, I don't have the picture. I'll put the picture here. And it is called the Hitofude. I'm going to tell you how it's here.
Hitofude. Hitofude.
You hear that? Hitofude is how you say it. I've been wanting to make that pattern for quite a while. I've had the pattern in my library for years. It's a $2 pattern. Like thousands of people have made it. So there's lots of inspiration. There's lots of comments and things like that. Most people are saying it's a really nice knit. It's pretty easy. The construction's very different, but they like trust the pattern kind of a thing. It's all over lace. It's an easy lace, but it's all over lace. Generally, I steer away from that because I don't love knitting lace. I really love to just do stockinette or garter that I can just sit and relax into it and not have to be looking at a chart and all that. But I thought, you know what? I've really wanted this sweater. I think the drape of this yarn for that sweater will be really nice. So I dyed some yarn trying to get a cranberry. I didn't get a cranberry, but I got a berry. So my quest for cranberry yarn is still out there. So I dyed this. I know in my screen this all looks the same, but trust me, it's not. So when it first came out of the dye pots, it looked like this. And I'm like, well, this is the color I'm trying not to do. It's just not vibrant enough. It wasn't dark enough. But I already knew that I had a lot of dye on this, and I wasn't sure how much more it could absorb. So I let it dry, and I'm like, it's not the color I want. It just not. And so I re-soaked it, put it back in the dye pot and added more. So this was done using a cherry red, a violet, and black to try and get that like deeper cranberry color. I probably should have backed off on some of the cherry and put more black in, maybe. Black can dirty it up, and maybe more purple so that the ratio of dye to yarn was okay, but not as much of the pink. Anyway, I put it back in the dye pot. I just dumped whatever leftover purple yarn that I had, the violet yarn or dye that I had in the pot. Nothing was measured. I just mixed up dye because I'm like, I'm not going to repeat this, and over dyed it, made it way better. I love this color. I'm still in the search for cranberry yarn, but this is going to be a beautiful hitafude. So I did get started. Because you finish a cowl, you should start a sweater. I just think it's the new law. It's the new rule. So I've gotten a couple of repeats. So you do start, it is very odd. You start with a provisional cast on, but you've got two different sections, but yet you knit it together. So somehow I think this bigger part is going to end up being the sleeve, maybe. It's weird. I think you do the sleeve, then you do the neck, and then you do the sleeve, and then you do the body, and it's all one piece. Anyway, got my Progress Keeper, my Chevis Progress Keeper, my crystal. She doesn't have these anymore, so I'm lucky. But anyway, I think it's going to be beautiful. And it is so scrumptiously soft. It's going to have beautiful drape. I'm going to have exactly enough yarn. So with my calculations, I should have 4 yards left over, which is cutting it very, very close. But I didn't want to dye up another whole skein so that I could use like a yard of yarn. So I thought if I'm getting to where I'm like doing total yarn chicken, I'll just not make it as long. And, you know, just bind off a little bit sooner so that I have enough yarn. So I also thought this would be really nice for Rhinebeck, you know, because I'm there for a couple of days, so I can't just wear the same sweater every day. And it would be lightweight enough in case it's a little bit warm. Maybe it would be good for woolen folk because I'm going to woolen folk too. So that's just 92 days away, something like that, from when I leave. Don't know if I'll finish it, but I'm going to really, really try to just do this. Now, I know me. I know the likelihood of that's probably not real great, but I'm going to try. So tomorrow I'm going on a road trip with Jim. He has to go over to Walla Walla, Washington just for the day. And that's a good 5 hours or so one way. And so I'm just going to ride with him just so that he has company. I've done it before and it's fun. I mean, it's not fun, but it gets me out of the house and it keeps him company while he's driving. He'll go over there, do his business, turn around and drive home the same day. So that's a good 10 hours in the car of knitting, and that's what I'm going to bring because it's all pretty straight. I'm not going up and over windy mountains and stuff because I can't knit during that. So I'm hoping to get quite a bit done tomorrow. I just hope I can follow that when we're driving and stuff because I don't want to screw it up. So that's, yeah. I'm obviously in a pink phase, but see, this happened because I was trying to get cranberry, which to me was a darker, deeper. I don't think I had the right dye colors. I was trying to make it work with the colors that I had. So it's still pretty. And being that I did the purple over it, it just gave it a little bit more of a tonal look, which I love. So yeah, that's going to be good. So I'm going to be all in pink. My other Rhinebeck sweater's orange, so that'll be good. So that's all I have. If you want that Stylecraft yarn, this I caked up because they come in those like pancake things. I can rewind it into a hank for shipping. But leave a comment down below and I'll do a comment picker thingy and we'll get that going. So I'm hoping, my goal, because I'm not working right now, is to try and do this, go back to every 2 weeks, which is how I used to do it. I just don't feel like I'm getting enough done to show, but this is too long. This was too long in between. So yeah, then another camping trip, and I'll have that to talk about. Whatever. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for always watching. Like, thumbs up, subscribe, whatever those things are that you're supposed to do, because then that gets more people here. So if there is something that you want me to show, like how to maybe, let me know, because I run out of ideas. I don't know if I can do it all, but I can try, and it might spark a different idea. So yeah, so do that. So anyway, have a good rest of your July, because I'm probably not going to record until August just because of things that are coming up. I do appreciate you being here as always. So take care of yourselves. Do what you need to do to keep yourself going forward. That's all we can do right now. So love to you all. Thank you. I'll see you later. Bye.